males and females, in the Paris Olympic Games of 2024. And we wish them well. And I understand the support was very good. You had a jammed, packed stadium, which is good. And people were all excited about the games, and that's good. And they gave out prize money for the games. But Bahamians, the games are now over. The excitement will soon die down. And a week from today, you won't even remember. Most of you won't even remember the excitement that you had over a week ago. But I'll tell you one thing. We got some huge national problems in this country. We have some huge constituency problems in this country, which have plagued us for 50 years and 9 months. That we have to do something about that. The games are over. That was just a fleeting moment of time. And we also had another murder over the weekend. Someone was murdered, Fleming Street, I understand. And of course, the police are saying it's gang-related, a particular gang in Fox Hill. Of course, another particular personality who's a former gang member, he may wish to call in and tell us about these gangs that we have in the Bahamas, because the police say they're gangs, but he's saying we only have pockets, 2 or 3 persons, but that's not a gang. They're creating trouble. And of course, scripture says to us, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, meaning it must be dealt with quickly, swiftly. It is set in the heart of the sons of men to do evil. We've seen a track record when it comes to murder in our country, and it's not a good one. Having over 100+ murders virtually every year, that's not a good thing. And of course, sometimes the police will compare what occurred over a certain period last year occurring to what occurred over this period this year. As the numbers drop, they say, well, we have a drop in crime, but you still have people dying. You add the numbers from last year to this year, you get an increase. But people are losing their lives. And I am convinced there is a specific cause and effect for that. We ought not to have people losing their lives because families are hurt. They want vengeance. They want justice, and you can't blame them for that. The police are to be investigating these things, and they have so many things to investigate. They don't have the kind of manpower to deal with the high level of criminal activity. So you got the murders, that's 1. You got the rapes, that's 2. You got the stealing, that's 3. You got the kidnappings, that's 4. You got armed robberies, that's 5. Plus you got a whole heap of social disorder in our country. How we get like this, Bahamians? What has happened to the Bahamian spirit of yesteryear? Where did it go? I was listening to another radio station before I came on the show. And these particular personalities were arguing over leadership, whatever that's supposed to mean. What is the definition of leadership? What standard do we have? Do we have any standards? But I happened to call into that particular show. And I listened to a number of reports last week from the Free National Movement when they had their nomination. Mr. Pintard and Dr. Minnis are nominees, former leaders. Neither of them is leader of that party today. They don't have any leader. You have 2 nominees for the position of leader of the Free National Movement. Right now it's vacant. You can't refer to the man as leader of the Free National Movement and he is a nominee. What kind of nonsense is that? Even the media doesn't even get it right, and that disturbs me, giving out misinformation. And we seem to be hell-bent on misleading the Bahamian public. If you don't know, keep your trap shut. But they don't want to admit when they're wrong. It is most important, and I said on this radio station, and I will keep my word on that, I will give accurate and precise information. And I said on that show, Dr. Minnis has a track record. You had Mr. Pintard has a track record. Mr. Sands has a track record. Mr. Ellsworth Johnson has a track record. The one who is the deputy leader, I think he got in unopposed. That's my understanding. But Bahamians, we have very serious national problems and very serious constituency problems that have been running for 50 years and 9 months and have not yet been solved. We have a call on the line. Call you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Professor Thompson.
Hey, how are you? That's Dr.
How you doing, sir?
Man, I was hoping you to call me,
Yes, sir.
I did call your number several times, but you ain't got no recording, man. You got to put a recording there. You would know I did call you several times, but I just couldn't get you. But I no excuse that I shouldn't call you again. I'm not making an excuse, but I'm happy you did call.
You're a little bit low. I barely can hear you.
But I got to let the producer turn up the volume then. Mr. Producer, you might want to look into that and see, because Dr. P says he could hardly hear me. But he's coming in very clear on this end.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's much better.
Oh, well, you know how to adjust these things, These are technical people. I know technical fellow.
No, everyone have their own gift.
Listen, you could not make it without the technical people in this business.
And one of the biggest confusions that we have in the world, that persons who don't know and find their gift.
Yes.
All they will do, they will cause confusion.
That's correct, yeah.
And I must say openly, you have informed me, educate me, and I have been very much more knowledgeable now on my constitutional rights. You were born to this time, although it appeared to be a little bit too late, but it's never too late. But God have the last say.
Yes, he does. It's never too late to correct an error. In fact, what has happened over the last 50 years and 9 months, the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas has continued to make national sins. I ain't talking about no misstep now. That's their word, but we have to call it for what it is.
Yes.
You do not have a perfect group to run this country.
Yes.
They have committed national sins, and we can identify clearly what those sins are. And there's only one thing you do when you commit sin, is you repent.
Yes.
But they have not repented yet. 50 years and 9 months.
I want you to make a note of, well, not today, but make a note of three concerns that I have before I get to my major concern. 3 concerns that I have.
I think you have some noise in the background.
Yeah.
Could you turn that out for me, please?
Okay. My concern is this. According to the Constitution, now I know they're going to blame the former MP for Abaco, what's his name, Edison Key.
Yes.
Write this down, and I like one day you'll have a topic. Who's responsible for this Creole-speaking country that we have today? That's one. I don't want to debate it. I don't want to debate it, but
I'm still hearing that noise in the background. Okay. Can you just shut it down, please, completely? Yes. Thank you.
Okay, we will have. We would like to know who's concerned about that.
Who's responsible for the Creole speaking in the country?
According to the Constitution. The next one is this, that who is responsible for that bay construction in that Venice yard on Wolf Road that never seemed to be finished?
Okay.
That's another one. And now, my pet peeve. We had a homicide this morning.
Yes, we did.
And my life is built by the Constitution of the Holy Bible. Although I may not be perfect, but I will not change that. The Holy Bible is the Constitution of my life. And until these leaders realize and open their eyes to this liberal, effeminist, atheist group who do not believe in the Constitution of the Holy Bible, who do not believe in the family, and who believe the United Nations supersede the Constitution of the Holy Bible, we will always be in the red.
Let me just comment on that, Dr. P, while you're at it, because the thing is that we have been putting up needles without eyes on them. And as a result of that, we have had any number of national and constituency problems in our country. The Bahamian electorate, and I have to go into great detail on this live on the radio, because there is a tremendous misunderstanding that is out there. And all you have to do is listen to the talk shows, listen to the comments, listen to things that are written, and see even the particular personalities who have been elected are not the persons who should be there. We have had it all wrong from day one. We have in our Constitution set standards that we ought to go by as a nation. No administration in this country from July the 10th, 1973 has ever gone by the national commitments that are embedded in our Constitution. Not one single administration. That is a major flaw. The mere fact that the vast majority of Bahamian people do not know the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas has put us in a deficit, a massive deficit. That's why the country is in condition it's in.
So
you cannot, hold on, Brother P, you cannot even correct the government of the Bahamas when they step out of line. You cannot correct your representative when the representative steps out of line. And so you have a major national problem because you have some stubborn, stiff-necked personalities who exercise power and authority in this country for their own selfish purposes. We can correct that. The Constitution tells you how to do that. The Bahamian people have to get their house in order. You know what they have to start doing? They got to repent of their wicked ways. 51% or more of the people in a given community or a given constituency or a given nation must become righteous in their dealings one with another. Then that community, that constituency, that nation is headed for progress. We got to get that 51% or more. We have to work at it. That is why I always go to Article 24(1) of our Constitution. We are not organized constitutionally in our nation today. The only document that could pull us together is the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, apart from the Holy Scriptures, because the Holy Scriptures and the Constitution strengthens us as a people. But it is the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, which is the premier document, which is the people's document. It tells us our vision, our purpose for being. We have not yet fulfilled that in 50 years and 9 months. That's our real problem. But I have to work on that because people do not know the difference between party representation and parliamentary representation. We've got it all mixed up. We have to fix that. Go ahead, Dr. P.
Well, like I said, you are the expert, but I only could go from a biblical point of view. And I am convinced that we are in the red spiritually, trying to liberalize, effeminize, and we have this group of feminist, atheist group that is also doing damage to replace the Constitution of the Holy Bible on which this country was stand on, and the Christian values in the preamble. So we are really in the red. So when these issues are in the red, the home has been effeminized. All these institutions have been effeminized. And the cut is short. I hate to say it. The cut is short. I have never said this on your show before, and I'll say this. I'll say it. This is a gender war. This is a gender war. The feminist movement has created a gender war. And they have muscle, or they're trying to muscle some of the politicians. You check. Many of them that we have elected, they don't believe nothing in family, and if they do, they only using a blind sham. And this is why we have this poorly socialized dilemma in the home, and we will continue to have these homicides until we go back to the landmark and realize the United Nations do not set the stage for the preamble of our Christian values, on which this country was built on, and as you speak often so clearly, Christian values.
Yes.
We are trying to liberalize it, and this society called the Bahamas, we will pay for it because this is a gender war coming from a group of feminists, this feminist group, and they are atheists who don't believe in God, who have issue with God. They have issue with God that God made a mistake in the protocol in which this country was built on. Have a wonderful day.
Hold on, Brother Dr. P. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please define for the audience, what is the definition of gender war?
What is the difference?
No, what is the definition? You said there's a gender war.
War.
Now, I want you to explain in simple language for the Bahamian people to understand what you mean by gender war.
Okay. Gender war is simple. In the beginning, in the book of Genesis, God set at the stage for the protocol. Man was created from the dust. Man was formed from the dust. Our sisters, my two beautiful daughters, they were formed from my rib. God set the protocol as to where and how the family structure should be. The enemy had a problem with that from the beginning. So what he did, he deceived and he created the confusion as to what's going on in the home and the family today. And a lot of pastors, not all, some of them buy into it through the spirit of greed by liberalizing or trying to liberalize the word or the Constitution of the Holy Bible. A lot of politicians benefit from it, but they never think one day that their own will fall into this ditch. Nobody will win. The society will not win. The United Nations will not win. Because like you said, the Constitution is the supreme being. And the Constitution of the Holy Bible in which this country was built on is the supreme being. Yes. And they can make laws. This feminist movement could cry with this and cry with that. You will not get results until we go back to the Constitution of the Holy Bible, that the protocol of God, the family structure, need to be fixed.
Okay, let me just make this last comment before you go. Article 2. Are you familiar with Article 2 of the
Not true.
Constitution?
You can educate me on that.
Article 2 says the Constitution being supreme. Any other law, whether it's UN law, regional law, statute law, any other law that is inconsistent with this Constitution, that is the Commonwealth of the Bahamas Constitution, this Constitution shall prevail. And the other law, to the extent of its inconsistency, shall be void. That means it's empty, it's futile, it's weightless. Do our leaders understand the value of that? Because that's your answer. That's it in a nutshell. We don't have to take the crap from the UN or from the United States or from Canada or from any other grouping out there which goes contrary to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And there are many things that the government of the Bahamas has signed on to or had personalities sign on to different agreements, which you and I have no knowledge of, which may very well be unconstitutional. We're going to have to reject all of them. And let me just close with this. The point is, we're going to have to examine every single piece of legislation, all the way back from 1729, that is in existence today, right on up to July the 10th, 1973, and coming forward to where we are today, May 6th, 2024. Now, that's a whole lot of work that has to be done, and I'm telling the Bahamian people, we have to examine every single piece. If they're like the Nationality Act, I can tell you we're in plenty of trouble. We have not yet finished examining the Nationality Act. Now you got some things about BPL, Bahamas Power and Light, and some other things that have been passed, which may very well be contrary to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, meaning it is void, it's empty, it's futile, it is weightless, Bahamians. I don't care what kind of signature they put on it. It means nothing. But do we understand the importance of that? That is why you have to watch what your elected and appointed personalities are doing all the time, 24/7. Because there's been some serious deception going on in the country. Did you hear that, Dr. P?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your contribution.
I always be informed in terms of your education, but I like my biblical, point of view, and I know that this is going to be intensified, but we as a society, we will pay the price because we are trying this group of feminists who don't believe in God, who don't believe in family, politicians who we elected, don't believe in it, and we will pay the price. Society will pay the price. They will make laws till Christ come back again. That will not resolve the problem until we go back to the Constitution of the Holy Bible. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for your contribution. The thing is that we have to make decisions, Bahamians. We do not have to listen to the feminist group that Dr. P is talking about. We don't have to adhere to anything that they're saying. I think I have to expound on this a little bit more because I do not think that the Bahamian people fully understand the power of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas and, of course, the power of the Holy Scriptures. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. This is Constitution Day now. You know, Monday is always Constitution Day with me. I speak on the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We'll be back after the break.
Express Yourself Live will return right after this.
Where can you get Bahamas shirts all year long? At Beyond
South Beach to Bay Street.
I'm pleased, I really dig your company.
It's your chance to join the discussion of today's issue. Here, let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and Global Radio 99.5FM.com. Express yourself.
We are back. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. Bahamians, this is a great day to be in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Our Constitution allows for freedom of expression, which includes freedom of speech. I think in the United States they have what is called freedom of speech, and that is causing a lot of problems. The president of that country had to comment on it because students in various universities and colleges across the United States are creating all kind of havoc in those universities. The police had to be called in. Hundreds, if not thousands, of students across the country had to be arrested, and they had to take a tough stand. I understand the governor of Florida has taken a very tough stand with the universities in his state, which is a good thing. You have people who are violating the law. Yes, freedom of expression. Well, in this case with them, freedom of speech is allowed, but the president said that you're not allowed to violate the law. It cannot be that way. You have to do the right thing. Even in this country, you have freedom of speech. You have freedom of expression. I don't have to get more into that. And I have something that someone put on Facebook I want to comment on. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Professor. I would go.
Hey, how are you doing?
Right there, man.
Okay.
I kind of a little confused, right? I only want to ask you something, and then I can just let you explain it.
Okay.
I follow Lincoln Bean, and I can listen to him. I don't know if you listened to him yesterday, but he threw me off dead bad, and I need. It's now it making me start to think like what's really going on.
Okay.
He was talking about the Constitution, about Haiti renouncing. He said that's not in their Constitution. He said they could renounce. But when I listen to y'all say, and I tell them what y'all say. I make sure I tell them what blackmail them say, what y'all say. Y'all saying they can't renounce because it's in their Constitution. He telling me, say, no, it's not in their Constitution. They can renounce. He even go on to the Constitution. He just say they have to go back into Haiti to renounce, which, like I say, y'all wasn't preaching that because y'all was just saying something different.
Well, let me just point out a few things to you. There was a time when they could have gone back to Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and renounced. Subsequent to that, I think it was 2012, if I'm not mistaken, because Mr. Gardner pointed this out in simple, basic language to the Bahamian people. At this point in time, as I speak to you, there is no renunciation by the Haitian authorities, none whatsoever.
Right.
They canceled that out completely.
No, but y'all, again, I think y'all gonna have to break that down, bro, because he was saying, he been on his live, he was talking about that, because somebody called in and say they spoke to, I think, Steve McKinney, and they was talking to you. I don't know if you all view him yesterday. He pulled out their Constitution. He said they ratify something, but he said it's not their Constitution.
What do you mean? What ratified what?
They're saying that they can't renounce, but they didn't do nothing to that into their Constitution.
So what was this particular thing all about?
We was asking this when he was talking. He was saying that they could renounce, right? He said they did not renounce. They just been here and they didn't do it properly. He said they're supposed to go home. So when I hear him say that, I call in and I say, no, they cannot renounce. Right? And I tell him what you and Blackmail was sharing to us all of this time. Because I was even trying to get Blackmail to call him and why I was talking. Because I say, man, you all got to be on the same page. Because he say no. He show inside their Constitution where they could renounce. Now now you see the confusion. This is what, to me, what's going on right now. You got one set of people saying something, and the next set of people saying something. So what is the right something? Because he's saying they I think ratify, like they write it on a paper, like what y'all was talking about, but it was never changed in their constitution.
No. See, let me see if I could get something clear to you. What is he saying was ratified? When was it ratified? What is it he's talking
I only
about?
got to say what y'all say. I say 2012, the president back then do something in their constitution where they couldn't renounce anymore.
That is correct.
That's where he picked up from there and say, no, that is not true.
Okay.
So he went through the Haitian constitution and said that, you see, there's nothing in their constitution that says they cannot renounce. So I say, no man, blackmail, and the professor keeps saying they cannot. He said, no. He said, that don't go like that. He said they might I know I'm trying to push out the wrong speech. What he said.
Let me say one thing about us, Mr. Gardner, Mr. Cartwright, and myself. I said there are two particular personalities, apart from myself, who understand the articles of the Constitution as it relates to citizenship. We have it down packed 100%. Our Constitution, no, hold on, please. No, hold on, caller. Just listen, man. So you don't have to be confused. The Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas says if they cannot renounce their citizenship of that particular country, whether it's Haiti or any other country for that matter, persons who are non-citizens of this country, they have children born in this place, they cannot qualify to be citizens of the Commonwealth.
See what I'm saying? I hearing you. I following you, you know. I following blackmail. What I'm saying is now you have Lincoln being what's saying. You need to go check his live Sunday. Lincoln, I call him. What I'm saying is, he's saying they cannot. What he did Sunday was he showed their constitution and saying they could renounce. Now, when I call you, you saying they cannot. I'm saying in which part of their, like how you read in our constitution and saying if they cannot renounce, they can't become a Bahamian citizen.
But let's put it this way.
I trying to be clear in my head now because now it's two different messages coming from people who I like. I'm saying which part of their constitution that you all went through, because I was asking him all of this and he gone to a particular thing where he's saying, you see, they in their constitution, they say they could renounce. He said they write, even like the piece, somebody called him and was asking him too, saying, well, they have an article with countries who can't renounce. He said, yeah, just people will put down their opinion. He said, but that is not facts. You feel what I'm saying? He said, that is not facts. He's saying the Haitian people could renounce because it's in their constitution.
Okay, let me make this short for you, okay? Because I don't want to waste time with people talking foolishness and nonsense. The point is, our constitution says if they cannot renounce the citizenship of that particular country, and we know there is an opening in our constitution, Article 7, which speaks to the time that the particular personalities born in this country between the age of 18 and 19, but before they turn 19, having the opportunity to apply for citizenship. But there are some specific clear-cut things in Article 7.2 which says these particular personalities must have. Now, all of those who are applying now, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 30s, none of them could qualify. Absolutely not.
I catch the procedure, you know.
But caller, listen to me. I'm not going to get in an argument over another particular personality who is not constitutionally sound. We know that. You go strictly by what the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas says.
I get that, Professor. What I'm saying is to you going to rebut up. All I'm saying is to you, in which part of their constitution that says that they cannot renounce? See, because he put that out there. So I putting it to you, but you saying something else. I'm saying, if you all say in their constitution they cannot renounce, like he say, which part of the constitution in their constitution that says that?
Caller, let me just put this point to you, okay? The Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas is the supreme law of the Commonwealth of Bahamas. There were changes made to the Haitian constitution. You know, Haiti is a very unstable country.
Of course.
Okay? So they have had changes. In 2012 was when they made the change in their constitution that they cannot renounce, period. That's what they did over there. What we are saying, our constitution is the supreme law in the Bahamas. We don't have to worry about the Haitian constitution.
No, I just said it because how he put it out there.
Yeah, but
it comes because me and him is going back and forth. Then he pull out their constitution because he's saying, in other words, he's trying to say he know the law and y'all really in a little way he push it like that, but then he's saying this is facts.
Caller, let's not,
because he's talking about the Haitian constitution.
Yeah, but caller,
I tell him everything what you just say. You know, I say everything. I say they make changes to that. He say, well, show me where the changes is inside their constitution.
Okay, but I want to thank you for your contribution. So thank you very much. Let me just say this to the Bahamian people. I don't want to get into an argument over what another particular personality may say that we know is unconstitutional. That particular personality has a right to express the view that that particular individual is expressing. We don't want to get into that. That's not important. What the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas says is final, lock, stock, and barrel. The unfortunate thing in our country is that you will have persons who will spread misinformation. In fact, I hear it every day. Just before coming to this radio station, persons who supposedly are intelligent, talented personalities giving out wrong information that is not constitutionally sound. Bahamians, I hear it every day. And I don't want to get into no argument over that kind of crap and foolishness. I'm not into that. When we disseminate information on the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, it is 100% accurate and precise. We make sure of that. I do not come on this radio station to give any misinformation when it comes to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The same thing I said the other day about the Free National Movement. We will not give any misinformation on Dr. Minnis, or Michael Pintard, or Dr. Dwayne Sands, or any other particular personality who is running in this convention for a seat in that particular party. It is important that Bahamian people get the facts as they are. So we're going to go and dig up what Dr. Minnis had said, but this was the same personality who decided to do some other thing. But getting back to the point of what the caller mentioned, it is important that you understand our Constitution. Their Constitution says they cannot renounce, and that has not been changed since 2012. And they cannot get citizenship in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas because they have lost their opportunity to apply from the age of 18, but before they turn 19, and the fella 30-something, 50-something, 60-something, say they want to be naturalized. You can't naturalize them. They cannot become citizens of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That's just it, Bahamians. Ain't nothing what no government could do to change that, unless you have a change by a referendum. That's the only way articles of the Constitution relating to citizenship can be changed. Each one of them is lock solid. And there are specific timelines that one must meet in order to qualify. If you don't meet the timelines, you just don't qualify. And so there's been a lot of misinformation. I can understand the caller being confused because he said a particular personality is saying one thing. And that is why it's important you get accurate and precise information. We will tell you exactly in the Constitution what we know to be true. And that's the way it would always be. I've been doing it for years. And will tighten up even now because there is too much misinformation out there in relation to our own constitution, because you have personalities purporting to be Bahamian trying to undermine the supreme law of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Now, when you see people doing that, you have to question their sincerity. You have to question their loyalty, because we got people who have a piece of paper purporting to be a Bahamian citizen. You have persons who have passports purporting to be Bahamian. We got people who have this kind of thing on them, and they tell you specifically the passport belongs to the government of the Bahamas. And I saw an incident some time ago where the fella flaunted some papers in front of another particular personality who is purported to be Bahamian. And there was this big argument right out in the open. Because there are some people who believe they have a right to this place, and they never, ever did. God gave them their specific country. Whether it's Haiti, whether it's Cuba, whether it's Jamaica, whatever country it may be. The Bahamas is for Bahamians. And so when we give you the information, you can check Article 7 of your Constitution, Article 7.1, Article 7.2. Not only does it apply for people from Haiti, it applies to any other nationality on the planet that falls within that category. Persons to be naturalized, that ended all the way back in 1974, July of 1974. That portion of the Constitution has not been updated in the sense that there has been a referendum for that to continue. There was a cutoff date, Bahamians, for naturalization. And it could only apply to people of the British colonies. If you didn't fall as one of those British colonies within that limited period of time, then you can't qualify. You can't apply for that today. The time is already expired. July of 1974. What is this? May 6, 2024. You see how far off we are? And there are people purporting they want to be naturalized. The Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas does not permit any other nationality to be naturalized in this country. That was cut off from July of 1974. We have had no referendum to change it. So it ended there. But yet the government of the Bahamas is lining up people, say they're naturalizing them, contrary to the Constitution. You have to watch what the government of the Bahamas has been doing for 50 years and 9 months. That's why I said every single thing has to be checked, has to be examined. We've been very lazy and not checking up on what the government of the Bahamas, the Parliament of the Bahamas, and Parliament consists of Her Majesty the Queen, a Senate, a House of Assembly. That's in your Constitution. See, we didn't update the Constitution to talk about the king, if there ever would be a king. But Her Majesty ruled for quite a while. But Her Majesty is not here. It says the executive authority of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is vested in Her Majesty the Queen. Ain't saying nothing about no king. The British have a king over there in England. Our Constitution says Her Majesty the Queen. Go and check it for yourself, Bahamians. We have an office that has been set up which is not constitutionally sound. And we're paying out money, the taxpayers' money, to support an unconstitutional office. It's called Deputy Prime Minister. No such thing in the Constitution. We'll be allowed it to go for 50 years and 9 months. And we did not correct the government of the Bahamas for their laziness, their national sins that they have committed. You don't call that no misstep. That's a national disgrace. It's a national sin. You still got somebody say they're deputy prime minister. It's been so from the beginning, Bahamians. Then some other smart aleck decide to come along. I'm going to add state ministers. There's no such thing in your constitution about state ministers. Check it for yourself, Bahamians. I get very infuriated when we allow these things to happen and do not correct the personalities who are governing the country and say, no, Mr. Prime Minister, that's wrong. Didn't you hear the man say his minister of immigration did nothing wrong? He transferred that minister to another ministry. When a senior minister in the immigration department, not a senior minister, a senior personality in there, questioned what they were doing under the Bahamas National Act. Remember, the Nationality Act is a fraud. They call it the Bahamas Nationality Act, but constitutionally, it's not even an act. It's a bill. Because it's contrary to the Constitution. It was never, ever sent for the approval of the Bahamian people to be approved through a referendum. So all they've been doing was doing foolishness and nonsense for 50 years and 9 months. See, these are the kind of things, Bahamians, that has happened in this country. And all you have done was sit right on your butt and don't question the ministers. You don't question the government. You don't question your representative. But this was a senior civil servant who sent this to the minister and the permanent secretary. And then I hear people come up with this other nonsense. While it's in my head, I think I should mention it. The Constitution says the Cabinet of the Bahamas has what? Overall direction, that's 1. Overall control, 2. Of the government, 3. That's a direct quote in your Constitution, Bahamians. Get it right, man. They say nothing about no permanent secretary. They say the permanent secretary runs the ministry. The minister makes policy. When I read the words overall direction, that's 1. Overall control, 2. That's what the minister has in that particular ministry. Nobody hiding the minister in the ministry. When he gets his instruction from the Prime Minister, he goes to the Ministry of Education. The Minister of Education has what? Overall direction and overall control of the Ministry of Education. That's constitutional. Now, if they ain't doing it, well, then that's their problem. And you have to tell them, Bahamians. As soon as something goes wrong, oh, it's the director, it's the parliamentary secretary, it's the permanent secretary. It's somebody else, but not them. Something that they see that happens in that ministry, which may be positive, and they want to get the praise of the will and praise of the people. They run into the forefront. You're supposed to get the licks too. You take responsibility of every single thing because the Constitution says overall direction, that's 1, overall control, that's 2, of the ministry. The same way the cabinet has overall direction, 1, overall control of the government. Babies, you got to notice these words, but every word in this Constitution is important, you know. But you all don't read nothing. You don't understand nothing. That's the problem. And this has been so from the very beginning right on up to now. I counted the time, 50 years and 9 months. Soon it'll be 50 years and 10 months. And we still here doing foolishness and nonsense. So I can understand the caller, and I didn't mean to be offensive to him, because a lot of you out there are confused. Because you are getting misinformation. I don't want to use another word because it might be a little too strong. So I'll be prepared to say misinformation, lack of understanding, lack of constitutional knowledge, sound constitutional knowledge. These particular personalities don't have, and you have personalities in your cabinet who know nothing about the Constitution, but yet they're exercising all this power, overall direction, overall control of a ministry. And they're getting all kind of perks, all kind of benefits, and don't know a single understanding of the supreme law of the land. Babies, how we get all mixed up like that? That's why we have all this confusion. Is that by design? I'm going to have to let you answer that one. But I know for a fact that that's what's happening. And so whenever any information on the Constitution is presented by Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson, it must always be 100% correct. I put my reputation on the line when I do that. I'm not settling for anything less than that. Not supposition, not hearsay, not rumor. We can't operate like that, Bahamians. Now, while I'm on it, let me speak to party representation and parliamentary representation. We ain't get that straight up to this day as I speak to you May 6, 2024. I spoke to this on another show earlier today, and the host had it right, you know. He had it right. The fact that there is a vast difference between the two. Party representation, parliamentary representation. The Constitution allows for both, Bahamians, but you don't get the thing all mixed up. You got personalities who are politicians, who are not in the House, who are not in the Senate, and personalities who are politicians, who are in the House and in the Senate. And I think we need to understand the simplicity. Well, maybe it's not simple to most people, but we ain't get it straight in 50 years and 9 months. How we get all mixed up like this? You have not been taught properly. You have been misled. You've been deceived. I think I can stop right there. I don't want to use another word. I don't want to get carried away. But you have been misled. You've been deceived. You've gotten misinformation. You've gotten information that is not constitutionally sound. So I can understand the confusion in the head of the particular caller who called it. The Constitution speaks clearly, party representation, one thing. Parliamentary representation, another thing. I have to touch on both of them today. I don't talk no nonsense about the ministers just there for policy. Give me a break. And the permanent secretary runs the ministry. Give me a break. Where's that in the Constitution? I challenge anyone to show me where the permanent secretary is in charge of the ministry when I know the Constitution says the minister has overall direction, one, overall control of that particular ministry. That's constitutional. Now, whether that particular personality is doing his job, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. So don't get it mixed up, Bahamians. Let's get it right. And if it is not right, then we need to correct it constitutionally. The lines are open, 3260271, 3260272. I hear the music in the background, the man trying to tell me to shut up. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break.
to Montague. It's your chance to join the discussion of today's issue. Yeah, let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Yeah. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and Global Radio 99.5FM.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. The lines are open 326-0271, 326-0272. Bahamians, you need not just even call in, but you have to take action. And I'm disappointed because not enough of you are organizing yourselves on the ground for decisive action. While it's good to have a good show for 2 hours, and you listen in and you make comments and so on and so forth, as the Facebook people are doing, because someone from Facebook talked about a particular minister, and this is the Minister of Tourism, by the way, who talked about the government will do and act as it pleases. I heard such a remark from that particular personality. The government of the Bahamas has boundaries. That's why you have a constitution, Bahamian. It is not supposed to do and act as it pleases. That's why you have boundaries. I have boundaries too here in this business of broadcasting. I can't say any and everything I want to say. I have to stay within the boundaries. That is the way things operate. Now, it's not unconstitutional, you know, so let me make that clear. If you don't have boundaries, then things are going to get out of hand. The government of the Bahamas has a responsibility to protect the interests of the Bahamian people, not to do and act as they please, because they were given the authority. Who gave the authority? The people gave them the authority. But the Bahamian people are beginning to find out now you're choosing the wrong set of people to do your national affairs. That's why I asked the question. And you have not answered the question, Bahamians. What major national problems have been solved by the government of the Bahamas over the last 50 years and 9 months? And here are the clear-cut benefits that come to the Bahamian people as a result of these major national problems having been solved. That's the way you judge a government. Check over 50 years and 9 months. We got all kind of national problems. Which major national problems have been solved, and what are the clear-cut benefits that come to the Bahamian people as a result of these major national problems having been solved? Most of you have ignored that question, to your detriment. You talk all kind of other things. But what standard Bahamians do you have? You listen to them talk about the convention. What is the standard Bahamians? And people shifting and driving, and 1 minute they say one thing, next minute they say another thing. That shows you unstable. What major national, no, that's the national one. Let me get this right now. What major constituency problems have been solved over the last 50 years and 9 months by the representative of that particular constituency? And here are the clear-cut benefits that come to the people of that particular constituency as a result of these major constituency problems having been solved. You people are not paying attention to this. You keep grumbling and complaining every living day, but you don't do nothing about it. Because I asked the question, what are you prepared to do? I know what I'm prepared to do. I can tell you again, because a lot of people ask me, Professor, what is it that we can do? Well, the Constitution tells you clearly what you can do, legally and with authority. I ain't gonna ask nobody's permission to do nothing, because the Constitution says you can do it. You know, authority higher than the Constitution. So I want, when you call into this show, I'm going to put those 2 questions out there every single day I'm on air. I'm going to be here all this week. I ain't going nowhere. In fact, I can be here till the man come back. Those 2 major questions are being overlooked. Maybe you need to know what the answer is. Is it yes or no? Because the answer of that to those 2 questions hinges on the conditions we're in today. And if we are not prepared to correct the wickedness of those individuals who've had the opportunity to run this place, the wickedness will continue. They want you to talk about misstep and all kind of foolishness. These are national sins. These are constituency sins that have been committed, heaped upon the Bahamian people. And people are burdened right down. Jesus said, come unto me, all you that are in labor and heavy laden, and I, Jesus, will give you rest. That's what we have to do, Bahamians. You do not keep people burdening you down, and you have the opportunity to get rid of them. The Constitution tells you how to deal with that. But you keep complaining all the time. You keep making the same mistake over and over and over and over again, and you will not change. That means we as the people haven't repented yet. Repent means to change. Stop your wickedness and start doing the right thing. Every single day gives us the opportunity to change. That's why I tell everyone live in one glass house. I live in one glass house now. So you see everything 24/7, lock, stock, and barrel. So nobody has to gossip on Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. So I can make sure you ain't gossiping on me. Because you will see where he is 2 a.m. in the morning. Or 5 a.m. in the morning. You got some night owls out there. Huh? Or snooping around in the dark. God says men love darkness rather than light because their deeds, their actions are evil. Do not elect anyone with evil actions. That's one thing you need to learn from Scripture. But you ain't listening to Scripture. Men love darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil. If you see one strand of darkness in Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson, I ain't got no problem you telling me about that, you know. Because I want light. Light is the way to go. God says you are the light of the world. They want you to be the darkness of the world. The light must shine in the darkness and scatter the darkness. But there's someone who wanted to get jet black. So you can't see nothing. God looks straight through the darkness and see what he's doing right there. But you got them kind of people running your affairs, Bahamians. Your personal life and your business life and your national life, your constituency life must line up with the Constitution and also with Holy Scripture. You got people doing all kind of foolishness. He's an adulterer. He's a drunkard. And I'm not saying that people cannot change now. Don't misunderstand me. But if you have people who have no respect for law and order running your... In fact, the Constitution says, going back to it again, a national commitment to do some specific things. And no government has gone through that yet in 50 years and 9 months. But yet, every time you hear these people talk about governance, and they want this and they want that, never a single word about the Constitution of the Commonwealth. See, I watch that very closely, you know. I say, now, let me see if this particular personality is going to tell me anything from the supreme law of the land. And in every single case, there is not a single word about the Constitution of the Commonwealth. That's why this country is all messed up. Because there are people who want power to enrich themselves. And you keep letting it happen because you keep electing the wrong set of people. You keep appointing the wrong set of people. And then you wonder why we got all these problems. Because you just picking needles without eyes. You can't get no cloth sewed. The character element is extremely important. And you should not elect anyone who has bad character, who is a liar. Lying is a serious thing, you know, Bahamians. If the fellow will lie to his mother, he will lie to his girlfriend, he will lie to his sister, he will lie to you. If the person will tell lies to the person sitting right to the table with them eating right at their table and tell one big fat lie and cause all kind of confusion and deceit, what do you think about you? They tell you lies too. So why are you going to elect a liar and send that liar to the House of Assembly? Why? It doesn't make any sense, Bahamians. The Constitution says a national commitment to self-discipline. Do you know whether the personalities who are there now, are they self-disciplined? Do they know how to control themselves? Are they following the law? Do they park on the sidewalk, park their nice fancy car on the sidewalk, causing the disabled to walk off the sidewalk into the middle of the road and could be hurt? What kind of nonsense is that? Or they knock down the police officer and say they ain't do it. So what are we saying, Bahamians? Oh, I could park here because I'm this, I'm that. Do you know who I am? What the heck you talking about? Who do you know who I am? But we let this kind of crappy stuff keep going on for 50 years and 9 months. In a couple of days, it'll be 10 months. 50 years and 10 months. Baby, you got to stop the foolishness. Now, here's what I want to see happen. This is a personal objective of mine. Because, Bahamians, I want the year 52 to be clear. I don't want to see any murders in the year 52. So we got to start preparing now. We need to repent of our wicked, evil, abominable ways. That's step number one. We are loaded with wickedness and corruption. We got to get rid of it, Bahamians, and only the blood of Jesus could get rid of that. Once we are willing to repent of our evil ways, no, I ain't talking about little missteps now, because that is utter nonsense and foolishness. That is national sin. You have constituency sins. You have family sins. You have personal sins. And Bahamians, we got to get rid of all of those sins. Only the blood of Jesus could get rid of that. Because I know a lot of you out there hurting. The family that just had a particular personality murdered this morning. That family is hurting, Bahamians. Irrespective of what may be purported to be what the particular personality did. I ain't gonna get into that part. I'll just leave that alone. The police will do their investigation. I'm not a police officer, so I don't bother with that side of it. But no one's supposed to die like that. Because God says he will abundantly pardon even the particular personality who committed the murder. Do you understand that, Bahamians? The murderer could be abundantly pardoned if he or she repents. That's one. Number two, the family is hurting now because they've lost a loved one. And too many of you like gossip about people. That's why I can keep living in the glass house so you can see for yourself. So you ain't got to listen to no gossip about Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. In fact, I got that advice from one good Christian lady. And I thought about it for a while. I said, you know something, I believe I can work with that. Because people's tongues like wag, this little red rag in our mouth, well, we could talk people's business now. And the things what people tell me, privately and confidentially, I can't talk it. Not even to people who sit around the table with me. I can't mention it. Because they gonna know that I mentioned it to those particular personalities. Don't ask me how they know. So I just don't do it. It's a way you have to live, Bahamians. If someone tells you something in confidence, then keep it confidential. Now, getting back to the independence, I would like to see the celebrations localized in the various communities and the constituencies. I want you to help me with this, Bahamians, so we could start off year 52, July the 11th. That's when year 52 begins. We celebrate on July the 10th. Now, of course, the national celebrations, we don't want to interfere with that. That's part of the national celebration, so we just let them work that out. And whoever they want to invite, let them invite. Because plenty of us ain't going to never get invited there. They get the same set of people drinking and eating at taxpayers' expense. They so big and fat and out of shape, but they're still gouging at the table. Then their whole dray load of family, they won't get to the table too. So the average woman in Baintown, the man in Foxhill with 6 daughters, he never can get no invitation to go. Because they ain't checking for him. They look at him, oh, you's a poor man. You stay in Foxhill. This particular personality I understood who was murdered is with a gang in Foxhill. But then the former gang leader told me there are no gangs. I got to tell him he need to check the statistics again because the police say there are gangs. Then the police tell the truth? Do the police tell lies or they speak the truth? Or they have statistical information? They got all kind of information. I need to get some of that from them, particularly on statistics. They're good at that. But now we have to learn to solve problems, Bahamians. Let's see if we could pull our socks up, particularly the males in society. We've got to work on the males. Now, I told you about the women. The women have been very good to me for more than half a century, from the very beginning. They make us look good. So you ain't got to worry about them. They're very good workers, and they work hard, and they make the men look good. Men, you out there who beating up on these women, stop that crap, man. You're hurting my sisters and my aunts and my nieces. Come on, man. Stop the foolishness. The point is we need to get our house in order. And beating up on Bahamian women is not the way to go. And not even the foreign women. So let me put that in there, lest someone think I say just Bahamian women. Any women. I talk about genuine women now, not purported personalities who pretend to be women. That's a different kettle of fish. Because I read an article in the Constitution that says any woman. Oh man, we got to protect that. I told someone that the other day. I looked at it again and I said, well, wait a minute now. Here is this particular personality purporting to be a woman. But then the Constitution said, any woman. Come on, Bahamians, we got to protect the Constitution. You have to do an amendment on that. We have a caller on the line. Caller, you live on there. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you?
Yes, sir. So women have been good to Bahamian. Bahamian women have been good to Bahamian men.
Say that again, caller. Say that again. I love that.
I'm asking you, actually.
Oh, you asking me? Oh, yes. From my mother when I was born, right on up to my beautiful 2 sisters. And the women that work with me, they are excellent persons to work with.
You can't compare the women of our mothers to what's going on today.
No, listen. What I'm saying is my mother stood by my father for almost half a century.
Yes.
Now, what we have to do, I said to the women in my church, I asked them if they called their husbands Lord. Well, they had one big laugh on me.
Mm-hmm. They laugh at you.
But then, no, hold on.
Husbands laugh at you.
Well, yeah, the husband did. You probably heard what I said previously. They had one big laugh.
I listen every day.
But I told them, I said, listen, this is what God's words say. Are you daughters of Sarah?
Absolutely.
And they laugh at me.
Yes, sir.
So I said, I know whether they're saying yay or nay, but I just going by what they tell me.
Yes.
The Bible says Sarah called her husband Lord Abraham.
Yes.
So what's wrong with them? They supposed to be women of God. How come they ain't want to do that today?
Yes.
Anyhow, go ahead, caller.
No, well, I agree with everything you're saying, but what I'm calling to ask you is, if do you think that terminologies and expressions like, well, not that's a term. The big word I'm looking for, marital.
Rape?
No. The good part of it. When you get along in marriage,
Yes.
marital cohesiveness, if you want to call it that.
Cohesiveness, yes. Okay.
So, do you think that'll ever exist in life? Period.
Well, you asked a good question, and I'll answer it this way.
Yes.
See, God is the author of marriage. He
Yes.
set the bounds for the husband. He set the bounds for the wife.
Yes, sir.
Now, here's one thing where some modern women may disagree. God says the head of the woman is the man, not could be, not might be, or should be. The head of the woman is the man.
Yes, sir.
The head of the man is Christ.
Yes.
The head of Christ is God.
Yes.
Now, some modern day personalities don't like that, where the man is to be in
Exactly.
charge. But that's what the Bible says.
Mm.
And God ain't changing that for none of them. And a good woman will always be subject to the man.
Yes.
They don't try to rule over the men. They look to the men for leadership because God put the leadership in the man.
Mm.
That's what God did. When he came to the Garden of Eden, he asked for Eve, you know. He said, Adam, where are you, Adam?
Mm.
Not Eve.
Mm.
Eve's supposed to be with her husband.
Yes.
So he wasn't expecting to call on Eve. He called on Adam. Now, Adam, where are you?
Yes.
So we got to go back to the very beginning. Yeah.
So there was a transgression done, and God came down and asked the man
Yes.
what happened.
That's what he did. Yeah.
But there was transgression done.
Yes.
I
that's
know
correct.
that, and you know that.
Yes, sir.
Now we're talking God here. We're not talking the guy around the book. I mean, we're not even talking Einstein. I mean, the smartest man, they'll say Solomon, whatever.
Yes.
You don't think God know exactly where to go to get this answer from the transgressor?
Well, the
When it
thing
comes
is,
to the man?
the thing is that God has given us free choice.
Yes, and the woman too, right?
Yeah, the woman has free choice. Yes.
Yeah.
See, God is trying to build character, and he has to allow us to make decisions on our own.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll be robots, like
And
the
the
sun, the
woman
moon,
too.
and the stars. The woman, yeah. But when they
Yeah.
talk about the man, well, the woman is included. Like when you see in the Constitution it says he, it includes male and female.
Absolutely, mankind.
Mankind, yeah, that's
Yes,
correct.
sir.
So what happens is that God gives us the opportunity to make a choice.
Mhm.
We can either obey him or we obey the devil.
Yes, sir.
So we have a choice to make because it was the devil and the demons who was thrown back to planet Earth.
Yes.
So they were right there when Adam came on the scene
Yes.
and still is today
Yes, sir.
on planet Earth.
But I'm sure you heard of a woman called Oprah Winfrey, haven't you?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Yes, sir. And before her, we had many others. You had
Mahalia
women
Jackson.
that protested men drinking alcohol in 1900s. Remember
Oh,
that?
okay.
Then
Yeah.
they went dry in America. No
Yes.
more alcohol, and it was against the law. You know the history of all this, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And so, because of the women's movement at the time, it gave way to what's the word? Crime, organized crime.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yeah, I'm following you, yeah.
Yes, this was a woman's effort. It was meant to do the right thing.
Okay.
But still, God comes down and asks the man what happened. Well, the woman said they didn't want the men drinking. We stopped drinking. We got Al Capone, and right from the Bahamas. I don't call the name. I wouldn't call the name, but you know his partner. All the rum runners from the Bahamas and Cuba and Canada. So it's a convoluted a statement to say that we must trust in these women who are the best for us. But from the Garden of Eden, they got us in trouble.
Yes.
In Al Capone days, the 40s, and they got us in trouble again. Well, the turn of the century, they got us in trouble. And Oprah Winfrey, up to this day, you got things called woke. I don't even know what that is.
Okay.
When a man is a man want to be a woman, identifying a woman, identifying, you got all kind of confusion in the world. This is because we follow women's logic. And when God come to me and say, Stephen, what happened? That's my name. What happened? I said, well, that's the woman you gave me, sir.
Yeah, that's what Adam said. Yeah. Now the thing is that we have in our Constitution. Are you still there, caller?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah.
I love the Constitution part.
Yeah. It says it starts off any woman. Now we don't have the definition in the Constitution about the woman, but it does talk about male and female. It talks about man, woman, and child. We know what that means.
Yes, sir.
But now you got particular personalities purporting to be woman. Now
Right
this is
now,
going to be a
government-
problem. But they could take that same article to the court, you know.
Yeah.
And a weird personality sitting on a bench could say, well, the thing say any woman. This particular individual purports to be a woman.
Yes.
And when the article is so wide open, says any woman,
Yes.
you know, it could lead to a lot of misunderstanding. And I think we
Exactly,
need
sir.
to protect that because we can't leave it open like that. It's only a matter of time for some wicked soul to test the veracity of the Constitution. And you got the wrong set of personality on the bench.
Yes.
We have a constitutional crisis.
But one thing about the American Constitution that I appreciate is that if you don't have a lawyer, one will be assigned to you.
To you, yes.
And if you can't afford it, you'll pay it for you.
You pay for him, yeah.
So every time you mention the Constitution, I think courts and lawyers, and a lot of us are stopped short at even getting the bus fare to get
Yeah.
to a lawyer.
Yeah, that's
or
true,
get
yeah.
to court, you know
So
I'm saying?
what has to happen now is, I am happy that you mentioned this because I was looking at this the other day too. How do you help the fella in Baintown and the man in Fox Hill and the woman in Engliston
I remember.
who are just struggling to survive, and they have a matter that has to go before the courts? They don't have the funds.
Exactly.
How do we deal with that particular situation? And that is something the Bahamian people need to have an enlightening discussion on, because we can come up with the right answer, you know.
Yes.
Article 24(1) of your Constitution. We are not using the constitutional provisions that we have available to us. Well, Article 24(1) is just one of them. So that's not the totality of it, but it has a basic fundamental principle in that article, which we can use in every single case that comes our way.
Yes.
But we are not studying, we're not reading, and the average person wouldn't understand it. So they have to get correct information
You
from
know,
one who knows.
Professor, if I could slow you down for a second, but please continue. But I believe, and I seriously believe this might sound crazy to you, I believe that every Bahamian knows the Bahamian Constitution. I believe this. This is my belief. I think it's innate. You cannot live in this country all these years and don't know your rights.
They do.
And
They don't know.
Well, let me say this to you. We know our rights. The other day, Lincoln Bean, I think it was last year, Valentine's Day, they went up there to exercise their rights, and you saw what happened.
Let me correct you on something.
Okay.
You have statute law, you have constitutional law.
Yes, yes.
When you talk about gathering people together for the protection of their interests, you do not leave them exposed because they won't know themselves. You being the leader ought to protect the interests of those you are supposed to be leading. You don't leave them open to abuse by the police force.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I got upset the other day when police officers in my area were interfering with the young men who
Absolutely.
live up there.
Thank you.
Well, then if they mess around with them, they got to mess around with me too.
Absolutely.
And I ain't nothing since after that.
Thank
So
God.
obviously, I spoke on behalf of the young men because they told me they live in my area.
Yeah.
What the heck you fooling around with them for?
Mhm.
Huh? That's
Yes,
not
sir.
right. Now, if they
I know
did,
a couple of them too.
yeah, but if they did something contrary to law, well, that's a different kettle of fish. We could work that one out.
Yeah.
But interfering with them as they move in the community or going to their job or coming from home, I find that to be extremely offensive.
Absolutely.
And I'm
Well,
not going to sit back and allow that kind of crap to go on with those police officers up there.
Yes.
Because I will take the necessary action that is essential to help those young men and also the young women and the old people, the old men and the old women, if we could call them that.
But I'll take you back to the point you made just now. But you said that the various types of laws that we have,
Yes.
constitutional,
And statute law.
statutes, and ordinances.
Yes.
We have a lot of things people just push through the pipeline.
Yes.
You know what I'm trying to say? And when you get to the police, it's so confusing, they do whatever they want. Let me tell you something. The other day, I'll get back to the woman in a second, that's what I call you about. But the other day, I went to the police station after finding out that my car was unlicensable. It was mixed up. It was a rented car that was sold to an individual, and it was damaged, and she couldn't pay the bills. So they put the car up for sale. And here I come, Mr. Sucker. Okay? I bought the car. I was so happy with the car. It's a great car. I love the car. I tried to get it licensed. Sir, I tried to get that license. I tried to pay my taxes through that car. That's how I live, right? Hoping the government will help me with NIB when I get old. I guess I'm not old enough yet, 70 years old. But anyway, I went to license that car several times. Believe me, I went through the system. I even went through the back doors. Car cannot be licensed, even though I tipped everybody on the way through it.
You don't tip them nothing.
I had to. They call it expediency. But anyway, here's the car. The car's gone. I went straight to my friend. I sat aside from in school. His name is Ross Smith, the head of the place.
Yeah.
And you know, I didn't expect any favors. I was looking for advice. What am I going to do? Am I just going to blow my little $3,000 on this car? I ended up giving it to my cousin. I didn't say sell. I give it to my cousin. He's a buddy work man. He does things. And I leave it there.
Okay.
But you know, when I went to the police station, on the very first minute I heard this car was unlicensable, I asked the police. I mean, it was like around this time. I said, well, you guys, would you come and go with me and let me straighten this out? Not one police would help me.
Okay.
And I went back several times. And you know what I was told? I was told that. I said, well, if I'm driving the car to get it licensed or put gas in it to keep trying to maintain some kind of a mobility with this thing I bought, which is, you know, it's just another part of life these days. Cars are like your legs these days.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
You know what the police said to me, man? He said, well, don't get catch on the street with it, because we can lock you up. I said, well, how do I get it to do things with the car? I mean, how do I get it to whatever with the car? You know what the police said to me? And I mean this, and I just want to make a point with this. The police said to me, well, if you got to use the car, in the front of, like, I don't know, but 6, 7, 8 policemen in this station. He said, well, you got to hire a wrecker to do that. And everybody burst out laughing. And so when I hear about constitutions, I know what because I feel in my heart what the Constitution is telling me. It's just a matter of right and wrong. And our government, our officials, everybody in authority, they just do what they like. Now, if I had a friend, a cousin, or a brother or somewhere, I'd be driving that car right now.
Okay.
That's as far as the Constitution takes me. And anyway, that's all it.
So let me just close on this point. Say you allowing the weaknesses of personalities to supersede the Constitution.
But they're stronger than me.
They ain't stronger than you.
The weak guys are stronger. The police laugh at me.
Yeah, they laugh at you because they're stupid and foolish. That's why.
I have no money to go any further with that.
Yeah, I understand that. But that does not change what the Constitution says.
Absolutely.
Okay? So let's get that point straight. You do not allow people to railroad you. Because, see, I can tell you about Central Police Station. They do nothing for people in Fort Castle. Absolutely nothing.
Yes, sir.
I can tell the commissioner about that. Because what's the point of having them there? They need to shut that place down.
Yes,
because when the people of Fort Castle call them, they do not come.
Yes, sir.
In order to get assistance a couple nights ago, we had to call 919, and I happened to know the particular personality who was on duty, in charge of duty at that time. And in less than 5 minutes, we got help. Just like that. So I said to him, how come everybody don't be like you then? Because you're calling 919 and they ask you what the position is and you tell them, but they never show up. So the same way this particular individual did it, why can't the others do the same thing?
Absolutely.
Less than 5 minutes, the matter was resolved.
Sir, I heard today a person like yourself, talk show host, said that we heard this a long time ago from Father Gomez, or the Anglican priest.
The Anglican priest, yeah.
The Bahamas is extensively corrupt. It's in our DNA. That's what he said, basically. And I saw that on
my life. That's the Catholic, the Anglican bishop.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Remember now, that's an opinion of his now. That's not law.
This was not only an opinion; it was an official statement after the inquiry thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
So this is a report.
That's a report. Yeah.
Yes. And I grew up in this system.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school with a lot of people who, when I found out they're in these areas,
yes,
and I would go to these areas. And I have to laugh them off when they tell me how to get to this. I said, no, man, I got my $50 tax or whatever I have to pay. I'm bringing in instruments from the States. I have to pay 50% on them. I have no issue with that. I'm an honest, like you say, I am a Bahamian.
Yes.
You know, I do everything the right way.
Yes.
There might have been time. I mean, I swear to God, on this phone right here, there was one time I tried to do the system, bring in equipment in from Miami too.
Yes.
It was a lot of equipment. I'm talking back in my day, the $4,000 worth of stuff was a lot.
Yeah, plenty. Yeah.
Yeah, probably nothing today. But when I brought it in, I had the guy promise me, listen, when I come in here, we're gonna deal.
Mm-hmm.
He said, yeah, we'll deal. When I came back, this guy pretended he didn't even know me. Okay, I thought I was going to jail.
Yeah,
and I wasn't going to blame him for putting me in jail. I thought he was setting me up or something.
Okay,
man, let me tell you something. I made one phone call, and it was over.
It was over. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I called my boss, and he called somebody, and this little short guy running into the place laughing and having a ball.
Yeah.
Where's Stephen Cook? That's me. Where's Steve?
Yeah.
I give him a cell. Man, Professor, my daddy's Reverend A.S. Samuel Colbrook from St. Paul's down the street.
Oh, okay. All right. I know him.
Yeah, Blue Road.
Yeah, okay. Blue Road.
I'm not ashamed to say that. But they're treating me like a foreigner right now in the country. I can't get anything done. My daddy put down his life for this country,
Yes, he
man.
did. Yeah, Brother Colebrook, yes.
Reverend Cooper,
Reverend Cooper, yes.
Brown.
Brother
They're the
Brown,
three
yes.
guys who started this movement.
Yeah, they did.
And here's his son. I can't even get a passport. I get a call back saying, but anyway, let me just go on. I'm starting to sound like Mr. Johnson right now. Let me check myself. No, but the Constitution is only as strong, like you said. I'm dealing with weak guys. No, man, I was scared of those police. I promise you, I was scared. And this is what we have to deal with if we have no cash to take it any further, whether legally or illegally.
Yes.
And I just want to put the narrative out there of what we're face in the Bahamas. We are systemically corrupt people. All of us, me too.
Man,
All of us.
you
what degree,
really,
I don't know.
Yeah,
Some people
okay.
live like that. Some people live in mansions all over Nassau, just in organized crime.
Okay.
And some people like me just struggling every day, just trying to make $1, put in
Yes,
some gas in the car, get to work.
Okay.
Never
Well,
get rich, you know.
yeah.
Yes,
Well,
sir. You had me on too long. I appreciate
yeah. Well,
that.
thank you for your contribution.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
I listened to the caller, and I understand where he's coming from. But Bahamians, I keep asking the question: what are we going to do about this? I'm going to go to a break, and after I come back from the break, I'm going to extend on what Brother Colebrook said, because there are some things that need to be said, Bahamians. We just can't keep ourselves in such a negative position. You call the Bahamas a corrupt country. The people are corrupt. And then they're saying Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson corrupt. He got carnal nature now, but he got to overcome that. But the point is, we can do better than what we are doing now. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. We'll be back after the break.
of today's issue. Here, let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and Global Radio 99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. Express yourself. This is a great day to be in the Commonwealth of Bahamas. I'm glad that God made me a Bahamian. I just am enjoying living in this country. We have problems, we have issues, but there are those who say the Bahamas is a corrupt country. And if we're going to keep knocking the country, it has its share of problems. So like other countries have their share of problems. I'm not saying we must overlook anything that is not according to law. But I believe too many times we keep hitting ourselves and keep beating ourselves into the ground, not realizing that we are tearing the country apart. I don't want to go around saying every day how corrupt the Bahamas is. What can I do to make the Bahamas a better place? That's what I want to do on these shows. What can I do when I come off the show in the community, doing something to help make my country a better place? Am I able to do that? Yes, you can. That's why we have a constitution. You're going to have people with different views, different ideas, different opinions, different suggestions. We have to listen to those people. And so it's very important that we work harmoniously with each other. That's why we have a constitution. And the better we know the constitution, the better we can work together. We need now more than ever before to unite around the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. It's our salvation document, Bahamians. You don't have anything else apart from the Holy Bible, of course. The Holy Bible is supreme to the Constitution. And so we need to start preparation for the 51st anniversary of our independence. And I said, if you don't know how to do it, call me, and I'll give out my numbers right now. You can call the radio station 326-0271, 326-0272. That's the radio station. And of course, my numbers are wide open. You can call me any time of the day or night, except Sabbath, sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. I just want to take one day off to break. Sometimes I'd be very tired. And I got to be rejuvenated, okay? So I need one day to rest. 325-8652. 325-8652. 465-5786. 465-5786. Now, don't call me while I'm on air on those two numbers. Call me anytime after when I'm off air, and you'll be able to get me, because I want to work 6 days a week and work diligently. I believe we have a caller on the line. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please. Caller, you there? Yes, hello. Yes, caller.
Yes, the first you asked a question about, what can we do?
Yes.
And I went and I read Article 24.1 of the Constitution. But I'm wondering, could you explain that in more of a layman's terms so that, overall people can understand what it is that we need to do constitutionally?
Fair enough.
Because I do agree with you that enough of the complaining. It's time to take action.
Yes, okay.
And we have to take the right action in order to get the right results.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the first thing. And then the second thing, to your question of what has been done on a national level for the betterment of this country,
yes,
and in our constituency, I would have to say nothing.
Okay, you're the second one that said that.
Again, we have people vacillating backward and forward between their parties, and when their parties become the government, and that distinction, as you said, has to be clarified,
yes,
so that we can understand what good governance is,
yes,
and what is required of the people before we send them to government. What are the standards? What are the characteristics should we be looking for in a person who puts themselves forward to represent us? Because we as a people really are at fault.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, perhaps that is because we have not known better in the past or not known how many rights that we have or the tools in our toolbox to use, which is the Constitution.
Yes.
But now we are learning. But I wish if you would take a moment and explain it to the people in a layman's term briefly, and then I'll hang up and listen.
No, call, hold on the line. Just stay on the line. Now, see, I have very limited time on the radio tomorrow. Now, what I want you to do is call. Can you do this favor for me, please? I want you to call tomorrow on the show. I'm going to take some time tomorrow on tomorrow's show to go into more detail because I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm very limited on time. And but I can say Article 24(1) of the Constitution, which talks about people organizing themselves for the protection of their interests. There's a lot of noise in the background, caller. I don't know what's causing that. But the thing is that people need to understand and know. Do not depend on a political party to protect your interests. That's point number one. Number two, do not depend on the government of the Bahamas to protect your interests. You have to be observant as to what the government of the Bahamas is doing on behalf of you and the type of laws that they are passing, because they got plenty of laws they have passed which are not constitutional in the first place. We on the ground, and I keep saying this to the Bahamian people, if you're not sure how to do it, call Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. I waited 50 years. The people told me they didn't know any better. Well, then the 50 years done passed now. 50 years and 9 months. Come on, Bahamians. I cannot wait for another 50. So we got to do it now, today. And that's why I gave out my numbers, 325-8652. 325-8652 and 465-5786, 465-5786. I want to get it on the ground where you are so I can help you and train others on the ground constitutionally to do it the right way so the police can't fool around with you. I know how they go, you know.
Okay.
So there is a protection that you have by your Constitution. You're responsible for protecting your interests, and the word interest is plural. Do you have an interest to protect in your constituency? Do you have an interest to protect in your country? Do you have an interest to protect for your children? Do you have an interest to protect for your nieces and your nephews and all these little pigeons we got in this country? What are we going to do about it? See, I'm hearing the music in the background now, which my producer is telling me I got to get shorter. But the point is, yes, ma'am, you asked some very, very good questions. I just wish I had the time. But I'd like you to call tomorrow again if you can. And please ask those questions.
Do that, Professor. I will call tomorrow. I was trying to call for quite a while, but I couldn't get through.
Okay. Now, make sure you call at the top of the show. And then let me go into it. You ask me one question, and then I could explain that, and then I could go through it that way, because it's a loaded question that you asked. It has a lot of moving parts to it, and it is very difficult to explain it in a couple of minutes. It's not going to work that way. But I expect a guest to be on tomorrow. But call in tomorrow, and I'll answer those things, boy.
All right, Professor.
Yeah, have a pleasant day. I'm happy that the caller called in, because I wish I had to be at the top of the show. I had to go through that in graphic detail, because people want understanding, and this is a good thing that Bahamians want to know their Constitution. That's my consolation right now. After 50 years of waiting, Bahamians, just waiting. See, my producer telling me I need to get off the air. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5. I'll be on tomorrow between 2 and 4, and every day this week between 2 and 4. Thank you very much for listening and participating. Have a pleasant evening.